Hello, and welcome to my super comprehensive, guaranteed fact review of the sets from 2024. Magic the Gathering sets, of course. This is the first time I've done like a big review like this. I'm sure it'll be perfectly executed, no issues. But yeah, hopefully my opinions aren't too crazy. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for swinging by to hear me rant about 2024. And I won't be doing a Ravnica Remastered because it's just a remastered set, so it was good. That's my review. 8 out of 10. It was good. Other than that, let's go in order here. Mostly going to be talking about the sets, not like the secret layers or any decisions that WotC made, except for maybe the banning in Commander. I'll talk about that later in the video. But other than that, yeah, it's just hop right in. All right, the first major set of the year in Standard was Murders at Karlov Manor, released on February 9th of this year, I guess 2024. This was a set that was back in Ravnica as a murder mystery. Basically, hey, the multiversal threat of the Phyrexians is over. Let's just go hang out in Ravnica for a party kind of a thing, and we'll hang out. There's obviously some murders happening. I guess spoilers, I don't know. Teysa gets murdered, as well as one of the Simic leaders. I forget which one. Vannifar? I think it was Zagana. Anyway, people get murdered, and it's a murder mystery. And it's kind of boring, if I'm being honest. There's some good stuff from the set, though. You had the Surveil lands. Pretty damn good lands. They're fetchable. They come in tapped, but when they enter the battlefield, you surveil. They're like the Scry lands, but you can fetch them. So that made them really, really popular. They have the basic land types as well, so that also turns on other lands and other things. So that's pretty cool. They were good. Delny, the mono white card that lets you make creatures with that 2 power or less trigger twice, and they can't be blocked. Really good card. Obviously, Vein Ripper. Vein Ripper took over a format for a little bit, made vampires like really, really good, like better than good, especially with the Sorin. You can put it into play for 3 mana basically versus the 6. Yeah, it's a very good card. Another good card, in my opinion, is Demand Answers. Always nice to have another one of these draw effects in red. This is just another really good one. Same with Prof's Idealectic. I can't say words. Memory, the blue enchantment that when ETBs you draw a card, and whenever you draw an additional card other than your first one, you put counters on a creature based on how many extra cards. Another fantastic card as well. And of course, the scourge of Commander and Brawl players everywhere, Voha, the elf ball commander. Holy moly, Ward 3 is insane, right? But yeah, this card is made people realize how busted Ward is, and I'm pretty sure WotC's even like, hey, we get it, we're gonna get rid of Ward. But yeah, Ward is a good mechanic, I think, generally, but this card is just kind of insane. And with every set that they've been doing, at least the past few years, each set has their own showcase frame, and generally like another like special frame on top of that. This set we had the Dossier frames; those are like the fancy ones, and I actually really like these a lot. I think they're pretty really cool looking. They fit with the quote unquote theme of like being a detective and doing searching and stuff. They fit really good. Invisible Ink Dossier frames, they were fine. They're really hard to see. I mean, again, if they're invisible ink, I understand. But as like a collecting aspect, you really couldn't tell you had something. It was very hard to tell, even when you're opening the packs. Like, is this the frame or not? It's hard to tell. And then the magnifying glass showcase frame, the actual showcase of the set, it was okay. I feel like they had too much dead space around the edges. Like it was just there was nothing going on, kind of a thing. Other than that, I think it was fine. And there was for some of the legendaries, the guild leaders, they had the Ravnica frame that they introduced. I want to say it was in March of the Machine, or maybe one of the secret layers originally. That frame's really cool, but it's only like 6 cards, so I'm not really going to count it. I think for me personally, the set was kind of mid. It's not the best, not the worst, that kind of thing. The problem I think it really had was it didn't really feel like Ravnica. Sure, they had the characters and you had like the guilds and stuff like that, but Like we just came off a Ravnica remastered like a month before this, and that really felt like, hey, we were in Ravnica. Then you have this set, and it's like, what was this? What is this? This doesn't feel like what we just had a month ago with the remaster set. Granted, remasters that can pull from 3 different blocks and that kind of stuff, but this is existing in the same world, but it feels completely different. I don't know if that's an art thing or if that's like a story, and nothing against the writers or anything, of course, because it's not like WotC says, "Hey, this is what we're doing, make it work," and they, to my knowledge, that's how that works at least, and they do their best. I have no issues with that. I think Kellen is just a boring character. I do not care about Kellen. I'm going to keep it real. I really don't like the Omen Pass arc either. I think Planeswalkers being desparked was a mistake in terms of story wise. And, I mean, don't even get me started on the actual Phyrexian invasion being, what, one set and a half? One set, basically? Like, come on. This was being built up for like 4 years, 3 years, ever since Kaldheim, basically. And you just, like, end it in one set? I don't know. That's a whole other opinion. Phyrexia will be one's like my favorite set in the last like 3 or 4 years. So, but anyway, this set, it felt like it could have. Honestly, the whole murder mystery thing is cool. Don't get me wrong. I think it's an interesting idea, but the whole set is just somebody got murdered and trying to figure it out, or like this could have been set on any new plane. They could have done it. They could have easily reskinned this to Innistrad. They could have easily reskinned this. Even Duskmourn could have been an interesting reskin of it. I don't know. I just feel like it was just kind of boring. Again, good cards. I mean, their Surveil lands are insanely popular, and they're going almost every deck these days. But I don't know. I think overall, I don't like Kellen. Again, it's my own opinion. I think Kellen's boring. Yeah, and like I said, I feel like this could have been reskinned to many different sets, and it would have been like exactly the same. This could have been a new Capenna set, and would have felt exactly the same. But that's just me. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, this was the first set that introduced play boosters as well. They got rid of draft and set, and they combined them into one play booster, so you kind of have the drafting experience that draft offers, but the multiple rare chance that the set boosters had. So they kept, like I said, this is the first set that had them. I think it's a fine change. I think it's a smart change on their part, because most people I talked to, unless they were drafting, they didn't pick up draft packs. They always did set packs. So I guess it was a smart way for Wizards to kind of like, hey, we're printing too much, let's kind of put them into one product. And I think that was a smart idea for their part. But yeah, I figured I'd mention it because it is kind of notable. Yeah, that's my non-official review of Murders at Karlov Manor. I give the whole set as a whole 5 out of 10. I think the lands and some of the cards in it are really good, but I think everything else about the set is kind of boring for me. And I am going to take account of everything, like the cards, the story, the frame. Like I'm going to everything for the set. I think the cards are mostly decent, good. Obviously the lands, the ones that we mentioned earlier, but I think everything else about the set's kind of boring. All right, the next set we're going to talk about is Fallout. It was not technically a standard set, but it did get a full major release. This came out on March 8th of 2024. I want to keep it real. I am not a huge Fallout person. I've played, I think it was 4 and a little bit of 76 when like they actually made it good and fixed it. I know it's a hot take maybe, but Fallout's not really just not my jam, right? I still understood the lore. I did watch the show as well. The show was pretty good. Kind of gave me a little bit more of an insight about the world. I really liked it though, for the most part. Some notable cards for me were like Mothman, of course. I think everyone liked Mothman. Grim Reaper's Sprint, and these will be on the screen too. I think it's a really fun red card. Vats was really good. Over Encumbered, I think in a mono white deck is really good, even non-mono white decks. Some commanders were pretty fun too that I liked. Agent Frank Horrigan, I have him as a Planeswalker deck. He's pretty fun to play. You can ramp him out pretty easily. He's in green, so it's not too bad. Codsworth, the mono white, he's really good in the 99 of equipment decks. Really fun. Red Death, I forget the name of it. It's like the little crab guy. He seems kind of fun and he looks cool. I like the art. Yeah, so those are some cards I really like. Those are my initial thoughts on it. I didn't open too much of it. I mean, I opened a few packs here and there, but I mostly bought singles for this set, so I can't really be too harsh on it. Again, knowing the Fallout lore outside of the cards makes it a lot easier. From what I didn't understand, the lore that they showed off in the cards was pretty good. I mean, overall, I think the set was really good. A A lot of good reprints too. We had like the Tango lands, the Czech lands were good. I mean, I think overall the reprints are pretty good on as well. The Rad framing showcase frame, I think is what they call it. I like that one a lot as well. The radiation, I guess. Radiation's a good mechanic too. Yeah, I think this, like I said, it's a smaller, not like a real standard full set, but I really enjoyed the set overall, what it had to offer. Oh yes, the bobblehead serialized cards. I think those are okay. I don't know. I mean, if they're gonna do serialized cards, at least make them interesting. I think they did a good job with the bobbleheads and making it interesting. But yeah, that's my quick review of Fallout. Like I said, I didn't do too much, play too much of it, so this is gonna be a little bit shorter than some of the other ones, like the standard sets. But I give it all 8 out of 10. I think the cards in it are really cool. The reprints are really good. All right, after Fallout, we have our next standard set. It was Outlaws of Thunder Junction. It came out on April 19th of 2024. This was like basically an Outlaws Wild West Cowboys themed set that I think had, for me personally, I had a lot of issues with the characters in it. I think the Outlaw set is interesting. I think the Cowboys is a very interesting set. We haven't really seen that before. Obviously, I know they don't do guns, and they kind of made it a way around guns, and so I think overall, like the idea is good, but I think the execution was a little bit rough. And here's why. I think the problem with this set is that they kind of just forced it. Like, hey, you know all these characters from Magic the Gathering's history? All of a sudden they're here. Planeswalkers, non-planeswalkers. They just showed up, and they're just here out of nowhere. And, hey, look at this. We have a crazy... They're now Wild West themed. Oh, we had, Gissa and Geralf from Innistrad. They're here with cowboy hats. Crazy, right? Or Marchesa. She's got a cowboy hat on. Isn't that wild? It's just so boring and, like, kind of dumb. I don't know. Again, I know they're doing the whole thing with the Omen Pass arc, and I understand that they're trying something different, and I get it. You have to swing. You have to have big swings, or it doesn't really work. I think this was it was a little more interesting than Murders at Karlov Manor. Don't get me wrong, because I think the setting's better. But man, just hey, these random people from all across Magic storyline, they're just here all of a sudden. And again, Kellen is back again, and God, I hate Kellen. He's so boring. But he's back, and this is I think the last set he's in, except for like major story set. I think it's the last one he's in, if I remember correctly. If not, at me, I guess. But yeah, I think overall, just everything just is not good in my opinion. Other than that, though, I think some of the cards that came out of the set are actually really good. I like a lot of the things they were doing with the set. I think plot's okay for a mechanic. I think saddle's fine. It's whatever. It's the lands that they printed are pretty good. Fast land reprints really nice. Bristly Bill, I mean, 2 mana standout card. God, that card is so good and just insane. You got Railway Brawler as well. I think is a pretty fun card. A lot of green decks will like that, and obviously mono green especially. I think the Joins Up cycle was an interesting set of enchantment cards that kind of did something tied to the name, and then have an additional effect as well. I think those are pretty interesting. And like the modal spells also, like 3 Steps Ahead. Was it Smuggler's Surprise, Final Showdown, and the black one, something Avarice, something Avarice. I forget the name. I think all those cards, and again, there's a lot more cards. That is just the ones off the top of my head that I'm naming are really, really good. And I think, like I said, I think the cards in the set are actually really, really good and really strong. I mean, and let's talk about Big Score and the blowback that they got from the Aftermath, like the 7 card boost or whatever they were called. Oof. They rightfully so did the Big Score. They put it into the main set because originally they were going to have the Big Score cards very similar to what they did with March of the Machine Aftermath, where have their own epilogue boosters. And hey, here's all the Big Score cards in these little baby boosters. Everyone hated Aftermath. I think some of the cards in Aftermath were good, but the way that they marketed it was awful. So then you're like, oh crap, we kind of goofed up. They put the Big Score cards in the main set. And honestly, I think the Big Score cards had better cards than the main set did, for the most part. I think that was, at least in my opinion, a lot of people's incentive to open the set was mostly for the Big Score cards because they were, big price tag, and they were just good. Again, that's my opinion. That's kind of what I've seen and what I've heard from people on my LGS as well. So I kind of use that for a little bit. But I think Big Score was really cool. I like a lot of cards there too as well. But you know, not everything could be a winner. I do like the frames they did for this set. The breaking news cards were fine. I did like it was an interesting way to kind of get cards, theme them to this new setting, even if they don't like technically fit, kind of a thing. I think that was interesting. I think the wanted frame is very cool as well. That was one of the things I did like about this set a lot. It's just a good framing device. But yeah, overall, I think, like I said, this set has some good cards in it. I mean, same with MKM as well. Like, there's good cards. Don't get me wrong. I just think the story was like kind of inconsequential, and I think it's a good idea, but I think the execution was awful. Again, nothing bad to the story writers. Nothing, no like no one, no salt to them or flack for them. They did what they were paid to do, and I can't be mad. But I think the Omen Path arc for me is just kind of it's kind of mid. But again, that's not my cup of tea, but it could be someone else's, so pop off. I think overall for me, this set was a 6 out of 10. A little bit better than MKM, just because I think the big score cards are really good. I like the setting more than MKM, but just barely. All right, probably the most anticipated set of the year for a lot of people. We had Modern Horizons 3 come out June 14th of 2024, and I mean, this set is just kind of insane, right? It's Modern Horizons set. The first two were insanely popular, probably their best-selling products of the year for when they came out. I'm sure Modern Horizons 3 is no different for this year. Probably their most sold set. Probably close to Bloomburrow because people are excited for that. But I still think MH3 is probably the best set selling wise. Yeah, I don't play Modern, so take all this with a grain of salt. I've never really been interested in it. Oh, when I was interested in it, cards that I wanted to play got banned, so I couldn't play it anymore. So I was like, whatever. But yeah, this set has just got so much stuff. It's kind of insane. Like card wise, we got the Flare Cycle, the new Eldrazi Titans, all the fetch land reprints. Obviously, everyone loves fetch lands, and they're being reprinted is great. The MDFCs are actually good. The ones in Zendikar were fine, but I think like actually being able to pay life and having them come untapped and that kind of stuff really made them a lot better. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool ones in the set. The Flipwalkers, of course, everyone loved those. Some of my personal favorites. We got Crabomination. I think it's just a fun random card. Ripples of Undeath, of course, just an insanely good card. Glimpse the Impossible. It's got my girl Gisela on the art. I think the art's phenomenal and the card's really good too. We got Fanatic of Ronus. I think it's just a really good mana dork that obviously gets better the more creatures or power and toughness, I forget. We got Argent Dias. I think that's a really good white card in my opinion. Again, I'm a sucker for white cards sometimes. And then another white card as well, Static Prison. I know the energy deck in Modern was kind of popping off, but I still use it in like, even if it's like a one of, I think getting rid of something for 2 or 3 turns, or even or for a commander for 1 mana, like I think it's just a really good card in general. The Modern Horizons 3, they also brought back the profile framing, I guess, for some of the legendaries. I think it's fine. That's all I got for it, honestly. I think it's good. It's fine. The concept Titans that they did for the Eldrazi Titans are phenomenal. Yeah, honestly, the set, there's really nothing negative. I guess the price, but that's, it's to be expected. It's not a standard set. It's a quote-unquote specialty set. Yeah, this set is great. This set is all gas. I have no hatred, no hates. Yeah, a 10 out of 10, right? Like, it's fantastic. It's crazy because like we have this set that is like 10 out of 10, no issues, fantastic, and then we have the disaster that was Assassin's Creed, Universes Beyond. This set came out July 5th, 2024, which is only 3 weeks from MH3, 21 days after like the most anticipated set and a very expensive set. They're like, you know what we should do? Release a set that has Beyond boosters, 7 cards in the set, kind of insanely overpriced for what it is. Only is like 100 something cards total, like 130 or something like that. Yeah, it was not a smart decision on their part. I don't know how much would have changed either way because I think the problem with this set is it wasn't a Fallout style set. I'm sure it's not an opinion I share alone, But I think this set would have done probably a lot better if they did the whole Fallout thing with it. 4 commander decks, a bunch of cards, not just the 2 starter kit, like the 1 starter kit or whatever it was, like the dual kit, and then 130 cards. And for me personally, it's a shame because like I didn't really know Fallout stuff. I love the hell out of Assassin's Creed, but I think the set would have been awesome if it was like a full Fallout thing and they had a bunch of cards. Like I said, with the level of detail with the Fallout set, if they would have done it with this set, I think it would have been received a lot more. I don't know if they just didn't have the go ahead to use more cards, or maybe there was an issue with licensing for more cards. I don't know what happened. Obviously, it's all behind the scenes, and it sucks too because there's actually some pretty cool cards in the set. I mean, we have like the 5-color Ezio is awesome. I think it's a really cool design. You have Excalibur, the equipment. I think that thing is insane. You had the 2 sword reprints, Feast of Famine and Light and Shadow. I think those are really good. I mean, who doesn't like the swords? They're insanely cool cards and they're really good cards. And obviously, you have Shay Cormac from the very what's the word, underplayed, and I think it's a very good. I think it's better than Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Rogue. I think it took all the issues of Black Flag and just made it a better game. But it came out on the old consoles when the new consoles were coming out. Like so, Unity and Rogue came out at the same time. Unity was on the Xbox One and the PS, I think 4, and then Rogue was on the old systems with 360, PS3. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, like I do like the set in terms of the cards, but man, it was just overpriced. 7 cards in the pack. It was just rough, and it is a shame too. Cause like I said, there's some decent reprints as well. I mean, pretty good reprints overall for the most part. Like Black Market Connections, like the Temporal Trespass, the extra turn spell. Like there's a lot of cool stuff in the set and a lot of good cards in the set. It's just man, they just handle it so poorly. I did like the Animus synchronization frame. I think that was really cool as well. What else? Yeah, I think each assassin from the games being on a card is really really cool as well. But I mean, as I said before, like I don't know what they could have done to change how this was received. They probably couldn't have changed anything because I mean they do their sets like 4 years out now at this point. Everything's planned and everything's edited and blah blah blah, and like marketing's already set up and that kind of stuff. I wonder if they couldn't change how it was made. Like I'm sure they saw the backlash from the epilogue boosters and they were able to change it in Outlaws at Thunder Junction. But I wonder if it was just too late or maybe they were under contract or something for how these were supposed to release. I don't know. And I think honestly, I think I heard it the most, in my opinion, was the release date. Like 3 weeks after Modern Horizons 3? Really? You couldn't find anywhere else to put this thing? That's my opinion. I think overall it's a 4 out of 10 for execution, but I do like a lot of the cards in this set. All right, from one of the most hated sets of the year to, other than Modern Horizons, probably the most well-received sets, we got Bloomborough. It came out on August 2nd of 2024. I think this set, for me personally, was actually one of my least anticipated sets when it was like first announced and hey, here's the world and that kind of stuff. But honestly, like playing the set a lot. This when I came back to standard for a little bit too, but mostly brawl and historic brawl and stuff like that. That was really surprised in the set actually. I really enjoyed a lot of the cards in the set. Forgive me, Lorehounds. I did not care a single iota about the lore from this set or the story or anything like that. But the cards are cool, so that's always fun. Like a lot of the cards we got, like the season cycle, like the little paw print, I guess you would call it new mechanic with the paw prints. A lot of the seasons are really good. We have the Portent of Calamity. It's probably one of my favorite cards from the set. The card is just so much fun, and I like the cards that kind of like pay all this mana, you get something random. I like that kind of style of cards. We have like Coiling Rebirth as well for a good reanimation spell if you're not targeting non-legendaries. We got Maha, it's Feather's Knight. Maha makes all your opponent's creatures have a 1 toughness no matter what. Obviously, that's just a base. If you have counters, you can obviously override that. Some of the talent cycle, too, like Innkeeper's Talent, Caretaker's Talent, really, really good cards. And obviously the new land as well for tribal stuff. 3 Tree City, a lot of really cool cards from the set. And again, too, I think the frame is probably my least favorite. I think it's called the Woodland Showcase frame. I believe. I could be wrong on that. I couldn't find it like anywhere. I think they're ugly. Like honestly, I think it's probably the worst frame of this year. I did like the field notes one. I think that was pretty like the sketching field notes. I forget what they're called. I think that's what the frame is. I really like that one though. The mechanics are pretty good too. I really like Offspring. It's kicker with extra steps because it has to ETB, but kicker's always really good. I really like gifting though. I think gift is a very interesting mechanic. I actually think it plays very very well as well. Give him a card, give him a 1/1 fish. I think it's a very good mechanic without having to increase the cost of the CMC of a spell. You can give him something in return. Very good mechanic. 10 out of 10. Yeah, like I said, I really don't have too many complaints. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised with the set. I again don't had zero interest in the story. I don't know. It's just not my style, I guess. But the cards that came out of it were good. That's more of a me problem, I guess, right? I do like the support that a lot of tribes got because of this set. A lot of new creature types, and they errated a few things as well, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think overall, set's 8 out of 10. Very, very good set, and not much to say about it in terms of like negative. And just real quick, I know this is a set review kind of a thing, but I guess it would be disingenuous to talk about Commander stuff and set reviews for Commander without also talking about the bans that occurred September 23rd of this year, 2024. Yeah. I think, in my personal opinion, I wasn't a fan of the Jeweled Lotus ban. Mana Crypt, I mean, it's a good card. I think Nadu and Dockside were pretty obvious bans. I think they should have been done sooner, but again, that's just me. Me personally, I think Jewel Lotus should not be banned because it's the only place the card's playable is Commander. It's a Commander only card, only playable in Commander. Jewel Lotus was a mistake to be banned. I think Mana Crypt is a bummer. I use it a lot. It's a very good card. I'm on the fence on that I only on the fence because it's such an expensive card. I know that it shouldn't matter how expensive the card is if it's causing a problem, but I don't really think it's causing a problem. And I've never had anyone complain about it in my LGS, in my play group. I frequent 2 LGSs. No one really said anything about it or hated it. Again, personal experiences. It doesn't devalue anyone else's. But yeah, I think they went a little overboard with the bans, and obviously, as most people are aware, the blowout was insane. Rules Committee, Commander Advisory Group, they were getting death threats basically, which obviously don't death threat people. That's kind of messed up. And, that's obviously not good, but it did lead to them being, all right, kind of screw you guys, screw the player base. We're handing the reins over to WotC now. And everyone's like, oh, maybe we screwed up. I don't know. I think it's fine. WotC has it. I honestly don't really care. And even playing with banned cards is Rule 0 anyway. I digress. I know it's a little bit of a rant in the middle of this, review thing. I just want them to unban Iona. God, I missed that card so much. Unban Iona, unban Jewel Lotus, and we're good. Because I want to play I think she's like 9 mana commander in mono white. Like, let me just play it. I need that Jewel Lotus, please. Anyway, a little bit of back to our regular scheduled programming. Well, about 4 days after those bans came out, 5 days, I guess, we had a new set come out. Duskmourn House of Horror. It came out September 27th officially, 2024. Yeah, this was my most anticipated set, going from, Bloomberg to least, and then to this set was my most anticipated. And for me personally, I think it lived up to the hype I set for myself up for this set. I think most of the card designs for the set were very interesting. I like the new mechanics we got. Like the impending is really good. Eerie, I think, was an interesting take on like Constellation, but a newer version of it. I think Survivor, whatever it was, it's kind of meh. It's good on Kona though. Kona's a good card. I think overall that was a kind of mediocre mechanic in my opinion. I think card wise, again, a lot of really really cool cards from this set. The new mechanics, the new enchantment synergies and stuff are really really good. You have like the Overlord cycle. I think those are really cool. I think all of them are good except for maybe the red one. But again, it depends on what kind of style you run. And the enduring cycles I think are a fantastic design. Creatures, and then if they get destroyed and destroyed, killed, and they're not an enchantment, they become enchantments and they stick around again. I think it's a really really cool design. You got the new land cycle, the Verges, very very good, kind of reminiscent of the Tainted lands. Unwanted Remake, another great piece of 1 mana white removal. Because why not? Nowhere to Run, I think, is kind of an overlooked card because that card is amazing. -3, -3, flash, and it lets you target things you wouldn't be able to target normally. Kind of insane. Valgavoth, of course, is the big bad from the set, and he also got a very, very insanely powerful card. Sure, he's, I think, 9 mana? If only Jewel Lotus was around, we can get him out faster. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, he's a very good card as well. And then obviously, Fear of Missing Out. I don't think most people thought how good that card was going to be, but, that card's kind of insane these days now. Very, very good. The framing we got too was pretty good in the set. I liked them a lot. The TV screen showcase frame is probably my favorite framing of the year. I really enjoyed the colors that they evoked, and I did like the TV framing. I think that was never really my issue with the set, in terms of it's breaking the lore of Magic. Nah, I think it's cool. I think it's the rule of cool. Like in D&D, rules is written. Nah, really cool, 100%. The double exposure frame is really cool too. I like the black and red one they did as well for the textured ones for that framing. I think the fractured foils, like the Japanese showcase frames, are fine. I play Pokemon too, or collect Pokemon, I should say. And they kind of remind me of V cards and like the EXs these days. So I'm not too harsh on them because I was already kind of accustomed to that kind of style. I could understand how some people who don't maybe play that that game and not really used to that kind of style of card would be a little upset about it, but I think overall I think it's fine. The fractured ones are cool. I mean, they're shiny, they're cool shiny stuff, but I don't know. I think overall that they're fine. So my only real complaint about this set was honestly, the story wise, I think the story was good. I think it kind of tied nicely into MKM and kind of had a little bit of stuff in that. I like how each door opens a new plane. Kind of tied everything together in terms of the Omen Path kind of stuff. And I like that a lot. Even though the Omen Path story arc's not really my favorite, I think this set did a very good job. My only problem is that how the survivors look. I know there's a lot of complaints from people that they had. I wouldn't be as upset about it if the lore from the Planeswalkers guides and the stories completely contradicted how the art looks. And I forget which lore story. I have to try and find it. It literally states that the survivors make their clothes out of pieces of the house. They use carpets and curtains and everything they can to survive, and their weapons are made out of random things of the house. And yet they have perfectly clean clothes on, they have kind of modern looking shoes, and I don't know, just that's the only real minor gripe that I have. Doesn't really take too much out of the set for me. That's the one thing. It's you literally have set up the lore where everyone's dirty, no one can shower, everyone's been exhausted, they can't sleep, blah blah blah. Yet they're wearing perfectly pristine outfits and that kind of stuff. I don't know. That was my only major gripe. But again, it's very minor, major, whatever. It's not a very crazy gripe. Also, the rooms, I forgot to mention, really cool mechanic as well, new enchantment type. But overall, I think the story was very good as well. I like the fake out deaths that they got. I forget what they were called from Amanatu, the little trinkets they got. I really enjoyed that a lot. Again, another small gripe I had was they mentioned the harrowing a lot, when Valgavoth is super crazy and everyone's going mad. They didn't really show it ever. It's just been mentioned, and there's I think 2 cards that even mention it. But it's kind of built up to be this crazy thing when it happens, but we didn't actually get to see it. But other than that, I think Valgavoth is a very, very cool villain. Yeah, I think the set overall, 9.5 out of 10. That's only knocked down because I hate the way that the survivors look, man. I say it's a minor complaint. It's a little bit of more than a minor complaint. It's just everything up to the set is fantastic. The art, the full art lands, everything is perfect. But then you have the survivors, and they're little off, kind of not really fitting outfits. Especially when the lore specifically says, hey, this is how they get their clothes, and they just don't follow it. But again, that's a minor issue. And an overall, pretty damn good set. All right, next up, the last set of the year, we had Foundations come out. It was out on November 15th of 2024, so pretty recent here. This is basically the new core set. They got rid of core sets a while ago. I think 2021 was the last core set they did, and they're like, hey, let's kind of redo a new kind of core set kind of style. Kind of neat. For the most part, I think the set did what it set out to do, is kind of make Magic accessible and kind of reset the core sets. A lot of really cool cards from the set. I think they did a good job. Not really like any lore or story stuff from the set. It was all, it's like I said, it's more of a standard set that just kind of a core set goes into standard. Here's a bunch of new cards, great. Story implications don't really matter, no big deal. There are a lot of cool cards though. We got like Sire of Seven Deaths. I think that's probably my favorite from the set. Just kind of insanely cool. Eldrazi's are always really cool, and then the flavor of seven from the actual card itself is very sweet. Another cards we got like Blasphemous Edict, very very cool card. Blasphemous Act, but in black with slightly different stipulations, but really good. Uh, Bloodthirsty Conqueror is kind of an insane black card. It's exquisite blood on a creature, fantastic. Mossborn Hydra again, also really good. And there's a bunch of others. Those are the ones off the top of my head because I'm pretty much rambling all this. Yeah, we got the mana foils. Those are really cool. I like that foiling process. Very similar to the ones we got in Phyrexia All Will Be One. The like Icar Slick foiling and like the I forget what it's called, but it's like from the actual set proper. It was like the little Phyrexian logos. I forget what they called it. Step and Complete foil, I think. That sounds right. Those are really cool. The Japanese showcase frame and the fractured foil frames are back in this set after being gone for not being gone, excuse me, after being first introduced in Duskmourn. Again, I think they're fine if you're not used to them by now. I'm sure they're going to stick around. The next sets come out, so get ready for more of them. I can only imagine, but I think they're fine. Like this set, kind of like Bloom Barrow for me. I was kind of like, okay, it's a core set, whatever, no big deal. I actually was really surprised in how well the cards are, how well they are, how good the cards are. Kind of surprised and like, oh, the set's actually pretty good. Not gonna lie. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like the cards is really, 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 really well designed. Really good for new players. Pretty good for old players. I think really good reprints as well. Obviously, they came out with some new cards, which is different than the core set because core sets are really only ever generally are reprints for the most part, to my knowledge at least. But I think it's had good new cards, good reprints. I think overall the set was a very really good end to the year in 2024. I give it a solid 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, that's all I got for Foundations. Just a very good set. All right, gamers, thanks for letting me ramble at you. That's my 2024 review here for all the major sets that came out, and obviously a little bit for the banning. Yeah, I think overall this is a pretty damn good year for Magic. It started off a little shaky at the start of the year, but I think with Modern Horizons, Bloom Barrow, Duskmourn, and Foundations, it really, really picked up towards the end of the year. My favorite set of the year is probably Duskmourn, 100%. I like the story, I like the cards, the theming, everything about the set I really enjoyed. I think for me personally, the least least favorite set is probably Outlaws. Like, I don't even know. Like, I kind of like MKM a little bit more now that I'm thinking about it. Outlaws is fine. It's just boring and forgettable in my opinion. But I think MKM just with the lands and some of the cards, I think just see more play, so it's maybe on my mind more. But I think Outlaws is my least favorite set. Not to say it was a bad set by any means. I think it has its merits. But for me personally, that's probably my least favorite of the major standard releases. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. Let me know if you guys like this long form content. I know I just do like gameplays and openings, generally speaking, but I like throwing my opinion out there every now and then. Yeah, let me know how life's going. I hate to even ask, but like and subscribe. We hit 500 subs a little bit ago, so that's pretty awesome. If you are watching this, I am doing a giveaway. I'll link the Twitter link in my description. The link is pinned on my thing there. If you want to enter for a free pack of Innistrad Remastered, one collector pack, obviously the giveaway ends on the 24th of January of 2025. So yeah, if you made it this far in the video and you're listening to this, get over there. It costs nothing to enter. Just got to go on my Twitter, follow the link. No need to subscribe on YouTube just visit the channel. Pretty easy, self-explanatory. I'm rambling. I apologize. Catch you guys next time.